Hello, church family. I'd like to share an update with you regarding our reopening in order to have worship services back on the church campus again. As you know, we had hoped that we would be able to do this in early June, and now it's looking like June 21st will be the earliest date that we might be able to be back together on campus. And so I wanted to give that to you as an update. I know that there's just been a lot of discussion about when churches should have worship services back on their campuses again. You've probably heard of some that have already opened and begun services. You may have heard of other churches that aren't going to be having services until later in the summer, maybe even August or afterwards. And so there's so many perspectives, and a lot of thought and prayer has come into our decision. I've had a number of meetings lately regarding this very topic. In fact, yesterday I met with the staff. Later in the afternoon, I met with local pastors via a Zoom call. And then that night, Wednesday night, met with the elders. And so a lot of discussion, a lot of prayer and consideration has gone into this. First of all, I want you to know that the main objective for us as leaders in the church is to protect the church family. We want to make decisions that will safeguard the health and well-being of the church family. I'm reminded of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. It says, above all, love one another, and that is to be our top priority. And so how do we do that? Do we love one another by opening the facility and gathering together? Or do we love one another by taking time to consider all of the factors before reopening? So that's been part of our discussion in recent weeks and days. We've also done a church survey, and part of our church survey indicated that about 65% of the church family was ready to come back and to be on campus again. However, half of that 65% said that they expected there to be significant precautionary measures in place. And so if you've seen our reopening plan, which you can view online, you can see it in our fellowship newsletter. You can see that plan. We've got different phases and a lot of different things in place, such as 6-foot social distancing, maximum capacity for attendance at 25% of what our fire code is. And so we've outlined a number of safety precautions. In talking to pastors yesterday, I heard that the 6-foot social distancing has been very hard for churches that have already started back. It's something that they're able to do a little easier in their auditoriums, but in terms of lobby and also in the parking lot, it's proven to be quite a challenge. And so I say that for this reason. One, St. Louis County is still asking for there to be 6-foot social distance. Second, we think about it as a health factor for one another. And third, it's out of love and respect for each other. And so thinking through when do we reopen, and when will we be ready to be able to do this with the social distancing and other parameters that are in place. Also on Thursday, Governor Parson has extended the phase 1 of the plan for the state of Missouri. He extended it by 2 weeks before going to phase 2. And phase 2 will open up other opportunities for gatherings, larger numbers and so forth. And he has not been ready to do that. And so with all of that in mind, it has seemed like the decision for us right now would be to wait until at least June the 21st. We also, as part of our survey, I think it was question number 2, asked what would be some of the factors people would want to see before returning to church. And one of them had to do, I think it was 43% of the responses said this has to do with the levels of COVID-19 in our area. And so, we've been trying to determine what are those levels. You've probably seen that the number of cases is sometimes tied to the availability of testing and these kinds of factors. And yet there is a positivity rate that is now being used to show how many people are testing positive when they take the test. And so the elders thought that might be the best rate to watch over the next week to 10 days and see how that rate is changing between now and June 21st. And so that will be one of the factors that we look at. But again, I know that we're all ready to be back together. Even seeing you all at the food drive and at the graduate parade last Sunday, that's the one theme that keeps coming through is that we are ready to meet together. And so I'm just as anxious as everyone else. And so we hope that we'll be able to do this on June the 21st. But for now, we'll continue our online worship services. In fact, this week we'll be in Matthew chapter 6, and Brad Canalejo will be preaching. He'll be finishing up the rest of chapter 6. It's a very encouraging passage, and I know that you'll be blessed by the message that he has. So thank you again for your patience and for your understanding as we work through these times together. And let's continue to lift one another up in prayer as God cares for us in these days.